On this sweltering hot summer afternoon, two idiots decided to climb up the Empire State Building. Not even on the observation deck. On the antenna. I don't want to hear these guys got fined in a lifetime ban. That's nothing. Stone them. Apparently, these two people, a male and a female, were on top of the Empire State Building, and I believe there was a proposal, some kind of marriage proposal. This social media addiction is greater than the crack epidemic of the 80s, the opioid epidemic of today with the fentanyl and all that stuff. It's greater. So that was me just a few days ago when news first broke about this couple climbing the antenna of the Empire State Building. No one knew that they were professional skyscraper climbers. No one knew. We just see two morons climbing the very top of the Empire State Building on some King Kong. Fast forward a few days later, and I'm noticing a trend here where people are actually celebrating the message of spreading love. They had a banner on top of the antenna. Listen, I can't get over it. I can't get over it. I don't know how this even happened. Security really needs to be questioned at this point. But the idea that they went atop of the antenna of the Empire State Building with a Jimi Hendrix quote, as you'll see here. And people are celebrating the message and the proposal rather than questioning the actions. And that's what I have an issue with. And this is not about being a boomer or whatever. I'm not a boomer, so it has nothing to do with that. This is about just ethics. Just knowing right from wrong. These guys were celebrating. The paparazzi were taking pics. This couple was making out as they approached the subway to, I guess head to their destination after leaving the court. No one's up in arms. Are there bigger fish to fry? Absolutely. But no one's upset that these two guys climbed the Empire State Building. These guys didn't climb to the rooftop of their apartment building. They climbed on top of an iconic landmark building, a building that's recognized throughout the world. That's why it made news. This wasn't climbing the rooftop of a project building. This wasn't climbing the rooftop of their, 6-bedroom home. They did something that we've never really seen before in New York City. Again, there's been plenty of people climbing landmark buildings or landmarks in general. And these guys, as I mentioned before, are professional skyscraper climbers. They have some whole Netflix series that I wasn't privy to. I had no idea. But we're in a generation now that rewards and celebrates this stuff. Like, we celebrate the message. All right, cute message. Totally understand it. But could that message have been spread another way? I don't know, maybe an Instagram post or Facebook status. Maybe, rent a plane and do some kind of like skywriting. They used to skywrite back in the days. I don't know what happened to that. Now you just get the whole chemtrail effect. But back in the days, planes would put messages in the sky. I just feel like there could have been a safer way to go about this. And of course, we're going to always remember this. This is going to live on forever. And kudos to them if that's what their goal was, to just, become an iconic duo that left a lasting impression on society. Kudos, because 30, 40, 50 years from now, people are always going to remember that July 1st day, right before America celebrates their 250th birthday. Let's climb on the very top of the Empire State Building. Let's display a message of love, a Jimi Hendrix quote, and let me, as the husband-to-be, propose to my fiance at the very top of the Empire State Building. I can't get over it. Forget about the pressures that may come from this for, brides-to-be now looking for their fiance to do something better, one-up this dude. Because now a simple bended knee in a restaurant doesn't even, matter anymore. A simple bended knee in your backyard, or not even a bended knee. Hey, will you marry me? Just asking your fiance in the passenger seat might cause problems now. You gotta one up this dude. But forget about all that. It's the idea that people weren't up in arms. I was looking through some comments and I was going through different videos and I was like, wow, no one's pissed off. No one's just like, what the F? What the absolute fuck? No one's saying this. Am I losing sleep? Nah, I'm not losing sleep. I'm just in shock that we've gotten to this point where right is wrong and wrong is right. You know, I mean, great. You propose. Awesome. You're one of hundreds of millions who are married or will be married at some point. And again, I get it. The message of love, especially in a time like today where it's just, you know how it is. You know what the climate is these days. It just feels like, you know, Armageddon. It just feels like we're one button push away from just everything exploding. Men, women, gender wars. Everyone's, you know, uptight. So the message of love, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Will it ever happen? Probably not in our lifetime. You know, it's going to take a big reset of the country. It's going to take a reset of the world, you know, to really have this message be implemented. And again, kudos to those guys for trying to get a message across, but then they became bigger than the moment because that message was lost. Then we all realized these guys are you know, actors, so to speak. These guys have a whole Netflix show or documentary in New York. And I just feel like being a New Yorker who watched the towers fall back in 2001 and watched the shifting of the country, now us becoming somewhat of a police state type of country now. You know, there's cameras everywhere. It's just, how did this happen? How did this happen? And how we not like up in arms? These guys went up there with backpacks. I don't even know if they had backpacks. I think they just were up there, you know, in a cat suit, and the dude had a jeans and a t-shirt with like a little mask on or something. Like, these guys really were playing superhero that day. And one false move and they were done. And we celebrated this. Nobody was like angry. You know, these guys got a slap on the wrist, perhaps. A slap on the wrist. I was outraged. And then only to find out maybe some hours later that people were like, okay, it's just another day in New York. Another day in New York. We don't climb buildings. We do not climb. New Yorkers, from old school New York at least, and I know these guys aren't from New York, but we don't climb skyscrapers. That's not what we do. That's not our idea of fun in New York. Just living in New York City is enough. We don't have to do all that. But when I saw there was no response like the one I'm giving right now in this video, I just said, you know what? It's not about trying to be different. It's about like the things that still bother me. And that's what this channel is about. I'm gonna make fun of foolish behavior. And I just felt like that was beyond foolish. Like, what was that? You know, I would have lost my job that day if I wasn't law enforcement. I'm not going up there. I'm not going up there to save you idiots. No one told you to go up there. But if everyone else was cool with it, what do I have to be upset about? Congrats to the couple. You guys did a magnificent job escaping security, climbing at the top of a 100-story building on a triple-digit, sweltering hot summer afternoon. Kudos. That is awesome. I can only hope others copy. Spreading the message of love in a world that desperately needs it. I've got to flip the script. I've got to embrace ignorant behavior these days. No need to be upset. No need to be in an uproar. Let me celebrate with the rest of you guys. Good job. Good job. We don't need law and order anymore. We just don't need it. Let people do what they want. They exercise their First Amendment rights. We're in a free country, as everyone likes to say. Listen, what's next? What's next? I'm afraid to ask.